Hello, everybody. Welcome back to MS Neuro TV. And I'm so super impressed with everyone. We have over 1,500 people registered and interested and engaged with MS Neuro TV. And I just think that's an amazing number. And I'm just so happy that so many people are involved and engaged in their learning process through this journey with MS, especially during this time. I hope you guys are all doing well. And my name's Jennifer Falk. I'm the Director of Development over at MS News. I'm here tonight with Bill Shanley, who's our production manager, and with Dr. Megan Weigel. For any of you that are new this month, we do this every month. MS Neuro TV has been going on for almost 2 years, and we're happy to be able to continue. To give you some history, MS News is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing education and information to the multiple sclerosis community. And we are doing it every week now virtually. We're trying to be online and in touch with everyone and just trying to give everyone updates as soon as we have them, and bringing great people, great presenters on the line and available to you for questions and answers. So that's our goal, and we're just going to continue to do that throughout this time. But before we go any further, I'd like to thank our supporters, Bristol Squibb and Biogen, for helping make programs like this possible. And of course, viewers like you, we thank you very much for being part of this process. So I'd like to give you a little bit of background about Dr. Megan Weigel. She is a nurse practitioner specializing in neurological care in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, where she brings a unique integrative medicine and holistic nursing perspective to her practice, First Coast Integrative Medicine. Megan has been a multiple sclerosis certified nurse since 2005 and a nurse practitioner for over 20 years. She is also a board-certified advanced practice holistic nurse. Megan is also a co-founder of OMS Yoga, a nonprofit organization that brings free yoga classes to people living with MS along the East Coast. Megan is a yogi herself. She's a surfer, runner, avid reader, writer, and enjoys her work in the neurology field immensely, especially educating people living with neurological issues and peers about the importance of wellness as an integral part of treatment. Megan is a wife and mother who understands the importance of one's personal story, the search for meaning, and the value of relationships. So we're very happy to have Megan on with us tonight, and she's going to be joining us after a video we recorded some months ago, actually last November, before everything had happened with COVID. Megan and I recorded this interview on brain health, and we talked about neurological reserve and research and a bunch of really interesting things. So there's my doorbell. We're going to watch this video first, and after that, we're going to take questions and answers from you all. Hopefully you can see your question box in the right-hand side of your screen. There's a little orange arrow there. If you click on that and you go to the questions area, you can just start typing as you listen to our conversation. If any ideas come up or anything that you'd like to ask Dr. Megan. And for those of you who are calling in over the phone and you don't have access by a computer, during this pre-recorded video, you will not be able to hear or see that portion, unfortunately. But just stay on for that quiet moment. It's about 10 minutes, and then we'll be back on live, and you can still participate in the Q&A with Dr. Megan. So yeah, let's get started, Bill, with that video. It'll be great. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer with MS News, and I'm here tonight with Dr. Megan Weigel, and we're going to be talking about brain health. Welcome, Megan.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here with us. So, Megan, there's been a lot of talk about brain health. Mm-hmm. There's everyone's kind of talking about what that is. Can you share with us how incorporating healthy lifestyle choices can improve brain health, and if there's any research or evidence that supports that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first time I really heard about brain health with MS, it kind of struck me as, well, yeah, we've been doing that, but we just haven't called it anything. And it kind of came at a time, maybe a couple years ago, where people started talking about time as brain in MS, similarly to how we talk about it in stroke. And so basically what's been happening is there's finally research that's being published that shows the benefit of healthy nutritional plans in MS, the benefit of exercise in MS. That's the rehab literature has been strong for probably decades. Also that mindfulness and stress reduction is helpful in MS for anxiety and pain in particular. So I think there's this movement towards brain health because we know that vascular comorbidities, which are things like heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, peripheral arterial disease, increase your chance of getting to a higher EDSS by a significant amount. And so we know that brain health helps prevent those, which we would hope that in doing so, we could also help protect the brain from more MS changes.
So you mentioned mindfulness. How would someone begin to practice that or try to incorporate that into their daily life?
Yeah, mindfulness and meditation are kind of, they're overlapped, right? So meditation is a mindful practice, but the practice actually of mindfulness really just means concentrating on what you're doing in the moment. So none of us do that anymore. I mean, you go out to dinner with your friends and everybody takes their cell phone out and puts it next to their knife and spoon, So it's like nobody's just sitting there with their friends. So the practice of mindfulness is doing that. It's emptying your mind and concentrating 100% on what you're doing in the moment. You can do it when you're eating. I mean, there's a true practice called mindful eating, and it involves just no phones at the table, the TV's not on, you're chewing your food slowly, you're concentrating on all of the sensations that are happening when you're eating. And just doing that can actually help people understand when they're full and maybe even lead to some weight loss because you're not hurrying through. Other types of mindfulness are meditation, guided imagery, a practice called mindfulness-based stress reduction that is actually provided to you by a certified provider of that. Tai Chi, Qigong, there's a lot of things you can do to increase mindfulness.
And mindfulness in relation to stress reduction.
Yeah, it's the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big. So there have been a couple studies published in the MS literature looking at mindfulness-based therapies for anxiety and pain, and they've proven to be beneficial.
Awesome.
Yeah.
In the past, I've heard you talk about probiotics. And is there a connection that is known between brain health and probiotics?
Yeah, so I think we're learning more and more about that, and you'll hear read and hear little blurbs about it, even in our neurology journals. In MS specifically, they've looked at let's just call it the composition of the microbiome of a person living with MS, and it's different than the composition of a person a healthy person living without MS. And so when you give that person certain probiotics, the one that was studied specifically was VSL number 3, which is no longer available as that name. It's now Visbiome. There are plenty of other great brands, but you can change the microbiome to look like more of that of a healthy person. And so what does that mean, right? But we believe in functional medicine that when the microbiome is not healthy, it leads to a leaky gut, which leads to your immune system, which there's a ton of immune cells in your gut. It leads them to kind of escape and attack things they shouldn't. So the thought is that if we make the microbiome more healthy, then we can increase the health of the immune system. There's also just this incredible connection between the gut and the brain and the enteric nervous system. So yeah, lots to talk about with that.
So you mentioned microbiome. Just in case anyone doesn't know, can you just explain or break down a little bit what the microbiome is?
Sure. So the microbiome is basically the environment of your gut and it's filled with bacteria. And we need bacteria for appropriate digestion. We need bacteria to tell our immune system how to behave. And we can increase the health of our microbiome by eating certain foods, like foods that are high in probiotics and prebiotics. So fermented foods, foods that are high in fiber, certain types of fruits and vegetables that give us the bacteria that we need to flourish, right, instead of bacteria that decreases the health of our microbiome. I think there's always going to be this what came first, the chicken or the egg question. But whatever you can do to increase the health of it is important. The one thing I'll say about probiotics is that there is a thought that for people who are significantly immunosuppressed, that taking probiotics could lead to harm. So even with probiotics, I think it's important to talk to your healthcare provider before you start to take one.
And there's so many probiotics.
So many probiotics. And the different strains of bacteria are beneficial for different things.
I'm going to have to show you my probiotic after
like
this.
It's like a 2-hour episode of Neuro TV.
It's true. And what about biotin? Anything you can share with us about biotin?
So I think we're all waiting for a pharmaceutical grade biotin. There was an initial study about biotin that made it look like it was going to be effective for secondary progressive MS in that it improved walking speed. Very small study, but still we're like, well, great, that's a safe vitamin, right? And then in the follow-up research and in another study, it actually showed that people who were on the high-dose biotin had more enhancing lesions and actually greater relapses. So until we wait for that, more research to be compiled and things like that, I personally don't advise people to go out and try to take that high dose of biotin. You actually end up taking about 30 tablets a day. And I've spoken to experts in the field. It's hard for even a pharmaceutical company to make high-dose biotin because of all of the different sources that they need to use to just get it. So again, it goes back to supplement safety, but I would say that there's not enough evidence yet to tell everybody to just run out and get biotin and it's going to slow down secondary progressive MS. I think that's the best advice on that.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And I guess our final question is about movement and fatigue. I mean, a lot of people want to be active, they want to move, and you said earlier, even just 10 minutes. Anything that you recommend where people will do some activity, but then afterwards they have terrible fatigue, like
post-exercise? Yeah, so a couple of things. The first one is more than a couple of things. Make sure you're exercising at your best time of day. Make sure that you're not taking, unless you absolutely have to, taking sedative medications before you exercise. Don't overdo it. So if 10 minutes is your limit, then 10 minutes is your limit. You can always do another 10 minutes later in the day. If you try to do a half hour and it's going to wipe you out for 3, what's the point, Make sure you're hydrated. Even if you have to stop and pee in the middle, make sure you're hydrated. And even if you think you're not heat sensitive, use cooling equipment. So whether that's a fan, whether that's ice packs, wrist wraps, anything like that, your core body temperature goes up when you move. And even if you're not a person with MS who's, say, heat sensitive to ambient temperature, we know that your nervous system works better when you're cold. So that fatigue post-exercise truly may be heat sensitivity that you're not recognizing. So I'd encourage people to just try it if they haven't.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Megan.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everybody, and we're back. That was a great interview, packed with a lot of information. I'd like to welcome Dr. Megan Weigel to the line. Welcome, Dr. Megan. How are you tonight?
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. We covered a lot in a quick amount of time.
Gosh,
there.
I mean, that was, I was definitely way smarter before the pandemic.
Seems like it. we both were, and we were wearing big grown-up clothes.
Yes, yes, we wore clothes,
Right.
real clothes and makeup, and yes.
But we still have the brains. We're just home now, and everyone's just comfortable in their home clothes. But that's okay. We could still continue with this conversation.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of people on the line tonight, and so we have some questions. Someone is asking. I'm going to just put it out there. You mentioned different types of fruits and veggies that help the microbiome. Any recommendations specifically on what fruits and veggies those are?
Yeah, so I talked about pre and probiotics, which are different types of foods that feed your microbiome, and some do it on the front end, so to speak, and some do it on the back end. So prebiotics are types of fiber that feed the bacteria in your gut. And some of these have specific types of short chain fatty acids that help with digestion. And so from the standpoint of fruits and vegetables that are common, let's say easy to find, easy to buy, one type of green is a dandelion green, and you can get this at most grocery stores now. It kind of is one of those microgreens with a bit of a bitter taste. Also, just using garlic promotes good bacteria growth, as do onions, leeks, asparagus from a vegetable standpoint, bananas from a fruit standpoint, apples, actually cocoa is an excellent source of prebiotic and flavonols, which are really great antioxidants. Jicama root, actually I have a package in my refrigerator right now of jicama tortillas. So they're like it's really thin strips of jicama that you can roll up and use like tortillas.
Oh, wow.
So those are things from a prebiotic standpoint in the fruit and vegetable arena. As far as foods go, from a probiotic standpoint, what you're going to be looking for are fermented foods. So you may have heard of kimchi, which is like an Asian form of sauerkraut. Also, sauerkraut is a fermented food. Kombucha, which is a drink. Fermented foods like pickled foods, beets, okra, pickles, pickled cucumbers, miso, which most people know miso soup, but miso itself can be used in marinades. And then fermented dairy. So Greek yogurt, for example, any yogurt actually, but I'm very choosy about my yogurt because I like it to be full fat and not have any added sugar in it. So if it's going to have a flavor, I'm going to do the flavor myself with putting in my own fruit. Kefir is another fermented dairy product. Traditional buttermilk. And some types of cheeses that are able to survive the aging process. So Gouda, mozzarella, cheddar, and cottage cheese are also probiotic foods. Now, some people don't like or cannot eat dairy products because of sensitivities or allergies. But interestingly, many people who have a dairy sensitivity can tolerate small amounts of fermented dairy. From a nutritional standpoint, it's considered to almost be a different food group.
Okay, this is great information. I have to ask you two parts to this question.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen probiotics in non-dairy, maybe like a cashew yogurt that says probiotic, where people who can't have dairy, is that still a beneficial probiotic?
Oh, I've actually never even thought to look for that, but yeah, so they're just adding they're adding probiotic to a food, and cashew, nut milks, so to speak, are what they're making nut yogurts out of, and then adding probiotics to that, I think would be helpful. Yeah, certainly.
Okay, great. And this list, which I'm also taking notes, Megan, how often would you want to integrate all of these foods? Is this all on a daily?
So this is a huge amount of food,
Right.
and so I think it's very easy to integrate certain things. For example, my husband and I every day cook with garlic and onions. It's just a staple. Every time we make a smoothie, and we don't have smoothies every morning, but every time we make a smoothie, we put, and this isn't a probiotic, but we put dried turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon in it. So there are things that you can just incorporate as part of your routine. Oats are actually a prebiotic, so having oatmeal for breakfast would be an excellent choice. But I think you can really rotate these things around. Like, have asparagus as a vegetable one time a week. If you buy greens, I like to tell people to vary their greens. So maybe a couple of days you mix dandelion greens into your salads, and another couple of days you mix kale or spinach or arugula, because they also have their own health benefits. Just because you're trying to get probiotics in doesn't mean you need to have a banana every day. So really there are lots of different, or I said prebiotics, sorry. There are lots of different ways to do this, and I encourage people to use a variety of foods instead of getting on the same train. It keeps the body primed, doesn't so it doesn't get stuck in a rut, and it encourages the fact that you'll have a wide variety of nutrients in your diet.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, during the interview, you talked about the use of probiotics and changing your microbiome. Can you change it in the wrong way by using the wrong probiotic? I'm thinking supplement is what they're referring to. Like, is there a specific supplement probiotic that you recommend for people with MS versus another autoimmune state?
Yeah, so I actually, in our European MS meeting, ECTRIMS, which was virtual this year, there were several presentations about the microbiome, and really we're really in the infancy of research, knowing that people, as I said, people with MS have bacteria that looks different. Changing their bacteria doesn't necessarily mean their MS is going to look different. If you are having digestive issues, there are certain probiotics that are better for you if you're constipated versus if you're having diarrhea versus if you're having lots of yeast infections and you're a woman. So there are all kinds of different products that you can buy. I tend to tell people to look for a probiotic that has 3 different types of bacteria, at least 2 different types, so lactobacillus and bifidobacteria. And then the third one that's kind of like the extra, like if you can find that, that's great, is Saccharomyces boulardii. But Visbiome is the probiotic that was studied in MS. And again, no studies showing there's any efficacy with modifying disease or symptoms, just looking at the gut of a person with MS before and after Visbiome. And I'm trying to find the ingredients. I believe it's a combination of lactobacilli and bifidobacteria.
What is the second one that you're saying, the bacteria?
Bifido, Bifido.
Okay. I
Yeah,
know that
yeah. So it's a
we're going to
combination
record
of
it.
lactobacillus and bifidobacteria, different
Perfect.
strains of them, and then streptococcus.
All right. Okay. I'm going to shift a little bit.
Yeah.
We talked about brain health, and I know in our title we talked about discussing lesions, but I don't know that we discussed it that much during the interview, but maybe we can hit on that now. Cynthia is asking if lesions cause pain.
Absolutely, they can cause pain. So depending on where a lesion is, it could cause a painful syndrome. The most common ones are lesions that cause optic neuritis, with causing eye pain when you move your eyes. The second most common one is a lesion in the spinal cord that would cause a Lermite sign, or that shock like lightning bolt when you flex your chin down to your chest. The third type that's commonly known would be lesion in the cervical or thoracic spinal cord that causes an MS hug. These are all primary pain syndromes caused by lesions. There could be lesions in other places that could be causing nerve pain. But then MS can also cause, you can have a secondary pain related to a problem that MS causes. So if you have painful numbness, that which can be primarily caused by a lesion, you may have difficulty with walking that could cause some back or knee or hip pain. But yes, lesions can cause painful syndromes.
Okay, thank you for that answer.
Yeah. And so I
Um,
forgot
yeah.
spasticity as well. So lesions cause spasticity, which is also painful.
Okay. Someone is asking what actions can be taken when relapsing remitting MS symptoms worsen?
Well, so the first thing would be to find out why they're worsening. So to rule out any other medical condition that might be affecting your MS symptoms, to rule out any infection that might be affecting MS symptoms, or any increase in stress, any changes in medications. And then once all of those things are ruled out, or perhaps an answer is found, the second thing to consider, if your MS symptoms are worsening and you're not having relapses or MRI changes, or you've had a relapse and you don't go back to baseline, is, are you in a more progressive phase of the disease? And then what do you do about it, period? Do you make medication changes? Do you initiate a course of PT or OT or speech therapy, and try to work towards a new baseline? So there's a lot of things to consider if your symptoms are worsening, no matter what phase you're in. And there's also a lot of possibility to help you improve.
Okay, great. Thank you, Megan. I have another question. I have a couple questions coming in live right now. This one's tough. Mary is saying that she only has $54 on average a week for food, sometimes less. What foods do you think that would you best recommend if she was going to spend that? I'm thinking she's asking in the best value for nutrition wise.
I mean, I'm a big advocate for a plant-based diet, so I would spend that on nutritious fruits and vegetables, dark leafy greens, varying vegetables. Sometimes frozen vegetables are cheaper than fresh vegetables, and if you steam them rather than microwave them, then you're keeping in more of the nutrients. I'd also look for buying things when they go on sale. For example, I buy apples and berries organically without fail, and they do go on sale. So if organic blueberries or strawberries are on sale, then I'll buy them in bulk and wash them and chop them and freeze them. So that I have them for later. So I would focus on plant-based plant-based ingredients, and whole grains, lean proteins.
Okay, great, thank you. This person is asking, they have GERD and they're on the prescription, I don't know, omeprazole, maybe?
Probably omeprazole or desomeprazole,
Oh, okay, yeah.
pantoprazole, something like that.
So they're asking if that affects the microbiome.
So GERD in and of itself can be an indicator that something's not right in your gut. Whether it be, I know that it doesn't make too much sense, but whether it be that you're not making enough acid, or that you're using too much of it. Or I shouldn't say using too much of it, that your anatomy isn't allowing it to do its job. And that can be caused by smoking or caffeine use or obesity. But specifically, can that medication change your microbiome? The answer is no, but what it can do is affect your ability to absorb nutrients like magnesium and B vitamins.
Ooh. Good to know. I've heard that it's hard to get off of that medicine.
Yeah, they are hard to get off of. There are definitely, and so I practice, as you heard, I practice integrative medicine. So I really take into account people's conventional medical diagnoses and their medical needs. And there are definitely cases why a person needs to stay on a proton pump inhibitor. And hopefully if there's a GI doctor listening, he's clapping his hands at me and saying she's not totally crazy. But if you have Barrett's esophagus, which is a precancerous condition, if you have had a recent ulcer, there are reasons why God made these medicines, in my opinion. But they can be hard to get off of because your body has forgotten basically the balance. There's a very delicate balance of acids and bases in the body and what's involved with digestion.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Megan. Let me see what else we have coming in here. I don't know if this is too personal, but they're asking how much magnesium should I take on, I guess, how much is recommended daily?
Yeah, that's it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I would have to know, what medications a person was taking, what other medical conditions they had, what the reason for taking magnesium is, because there are different recommended doses. What their GI health is like, how often they're having bowel movement. So that's really hard to say.
Okay, thank you. And someone's just joining. What experience have you had with the WALS protocol?
A lot. I have many patients who use that as their guide for nutrition. I help people use it as their guide for nutrition. I don't believe it's the only way to eat when you have multiple sclerosis. But I do use it in my practice.
Okay, all right, great. And any thoughts on fasting?
Yeah, so it kind of, again, that's a loaded question, and it goes back to the person's medical history, specifically whether or not they have diabetes or issues with autonomic dysfunction and blood pressure, or even a history of anxiety or eating disorder. I tend to not recommend fasting in those populations. But intermittent fasting has been, well, let's just say it's kind of an oxymoron, because if you study back into the 3,000 to 5,000 of years ago with Ayurvedic medicine, which is traditional Indian medicine, and traditional Chinese medicine, they recommend essentially an overnight fast. So you don't eat past 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and then you don't eat breakfast until 7 o'clock in the morning, which is a 13-hour fast. It helps your digestive tract rest. It helps your body rest while you're resting. And essentially, if you think about it, most of the things that you're eating after the 7 o'clock hour are probably not good for you. It's usually people, consuming sweets or more snacks or alcohol, and all of those things mess with your sleep. So I am a believer in that traditional overnight fast, assuming it's medically appropriate. There is speak in the scientific literature, particularly in dementia, and other autoimmune diseases, that longer fasts stress your mitochondria, and therefore they can improve your mitochondrial health. Really, the science on that is still coming from a petri dish in animals, and it's similar science to the mitochondria. People who are familiar with the Wahls protocol will, use the speak about mitochondria a lot. But I think that you can do your body really good service by eating dinner earlier and not eating again until the morning time.
Okay, thank you. I have two questions, Megan, about fatigue. Someone is asking, what is the best exercises for leg fatigue? And then the second part of this question is, can you talk about brain health and fatigue, and that fatigue has really impacted every aspect of their life. They live a healthy lifestyle, but it takes a toll on them daily.
Okay, so as far as the best exercises go, not knowing this person, seeing the person, examining the person, I would recommend a consultation or an evaluation with a physical therapist who has experience in MS. And if you don't have a good one in your area, because I know that people are calling in from all over, I would recommend checking out Dr. Gretchen on the internet. And she's been on programs for you guys before. Her website is Dr. spelled out, DOCTOR, Gretchen, GRETCHEN, Hawley, HAWLEY.com. And then another very helpful tool for managing fatigue in general is a consultation with an occupational therapist. They have incredible ways to help you manage your day, to help you conserve energy. And this is even for a person who, I can see some people right now rolling their eyes at me if they, quote, don't look like they have MS, but these are the people who I feel so good, but, or
right.
You look so good, but,
right.
But you look so good. So those are definitely things to consider. As far as brain health and fatigue goes, interestingly, exercise, the diets that have been studied in MS, including the Wahls protocol, the MIND, MIND diet, Mediterranean type diet, the ketogenic diet, all of these diets have shown in their small studies to show an improvement in fatigue and an overall sense of well-being.
Okay.
And similarly for mindfulness and meditation, not just not in the MS population, but overall, people who practice mindfulness and meditation, report feelings of better mental clarity, more energy. So the brain health part really does weigh in, and I think can prove beneficial to people living with MS.
Oh, thank you, Megan. That's great advice. And I'm so glad you mentioned Dr. Gretchen Hawley. I don't know if I shared this with you, but we are launching a series. So anyone that's interested in learning more about physical therapy from someone who is an MS certified physical therapist. This starts next November 16th, and it's a twice a month program where she's going to show exercises, physical therapy, talk about fatigue, walking, all of the challenges that someone could have, and then she's going to do a follow-up every month where people can talk with Dr. Gretchen and kind of like accountability. So that starts in November, and everyone
Nice,
can find
that's
out.
awesome.
Yeah, I know, we're really excited. Yeah, and that's going to go for 6 months. So really, I encourage everyone to take advantage of that, because Dr. Gretchen does that online, and it's a service that she provides, and she's doing that with us, and it's free. So definitely check that out. You can find it on the homepage of MS Views and News. We just put it there today, so we're super excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I guess our final question, which is actually our first question, but I kind of saved it for the end. Resources available. So you mentioned Dr. Gretchen for sure, and occupational therapy, but someone's asking that if you could share any available resources for MSers that assist with daily living that could improve quality of life, and any ideas on home, taking care of your home or organizing that you found helpful.
Yes, so I'm actually going to kind of surf the internet right now while I'm talking. I would recommend that you go to the Can Do MS website, and it's Cando, CANDO-MS.org.
Yes.
And they actually have a resources tab where you can watch, read, live webinars that have been streamed. You can look up there. They have Can Do on demand learning modules that have popular topics, such as occupational therapists talking specifically about those questions. They have library articles as well. Let's see, there's a home and work category. There's a great article about MS fatigue. Gosh, so many. Assessing your home accessibility needs. Gosh, there's pages of these things. So I would recommend checking out their website for resources. They also have a useful link list of MS organizations and services. And really great occupational therapists who are giving out their brains for free.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
It's great resources. I learn from them all the time. In fact, there's one on December 8th called a live webinar called Adaptations for Staying Active and Involved. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I'm going to share that with everyone right now. Hold on a second. Can Do MS.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can share it in the chat box, everyone. So if you, hopefully you'll get this this link I'm going to put there right now, and you can
there's a
register
fatigue
there as well. And I also shared
resource, and there's so many great things through the webinar series. And
okay, great. I just also shared Dr. Gretchen's new series for physical therapy. So everyone can register there if they want to, and Can Do's programs. I'm just sharing with everyone now. You guys are getting a lot of good stuff tonight. Hold on a second. I'm sending this to all. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Megan. This was wonderful as always.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, great. And we're going to just wrap it up right now. I'm going to thank all of you for joining us tonight. And if it's your first time, we hope you enjoyed it. And if you're coming back every month, we're so glad that you continue. You're going to get a survey after this is over. We'd love to hear your feedback, any ideas for future programs. It takes about a minute to complete, so you can check that out. And just know that you're registered for the whole series of MS Neuro TV. Next month, we're going to have Dr. Erin Boster talking about the immune system and living with MS and how that affects the immune system and what we know today. I know a lot of people are concerned about their immune system and COVID-19, so we really want to just update everyone on anything new and kind of keep that topic fresh for you guys. And again, we'd love to thank Dr. Megan Weigel, Bristol Myers Squibb, and Biogen for supporting tonight's program. If you want to see recordings of any of these webinars, you can visit our YouTube channel, and you can also find more information on our website at www.msviewsandnews.org. And thank you all. Looking forward to doing this again with you next month. Thank you, Dr. Megan. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.